Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Welcome, everybody. It's Gas Masks and Hand Grenades here again. I'm your host, Jeff, and look who I've got. This guy right here, the legendary, and I don't say that word all the time, but I do think it's apropos here, sir. The legendary John Bush of Armored Saint, Anthrax, and the reason we're here, Category 7, which we're going to talk a lot about. How are you, John?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you. Your intro is really cool. I was captivated watching that. That awesome.
Thank you, man. That's all my little vanity piece of all the cool fucking guys I've gotten to talk to. I feel very blessed, very blessed.
Cool.
So
it was very explosive. I liked it.
Yes. Well, that was part of the deal. That was part of the deal. So, hey, so we did a little bit of the Wayne's World thing beforehand. I did a little bit of the worship thing, and one other additional funny story. Well, not funny story, but like the actual way that I came into you guys as Armored Saint back in '84 was I graduated high school, obviously in like May or June or whatever of '84, and I took a job on a loading dock. And before I went into college, and there was this dude, his name was Roscoe. I don't think that was his real name, but that's what we all called him. And he was like the biggest stoner I've ever seen in my life. Super cool, but he always had the choice metal, like before anybody else did. He would go buy, you know how it was back in the day. You had to go buy the imports and shit like that. Although you guys were an import band, but Venom and Bathory and Armored Saint and all the cool stuff. So he brought in the March of the Saint album, and dude, we crushed that tape for like a month solid. It was just like that's all we listened to, So that's where I come from with you guys, and of course, I'm Blazing the Colors today.
That's awesome.
My favorite album by you guys. So
you said it was a tape. Was it a cassette?
It was a cassette. Those days.
Oh, yeah.
You lived those days.
And where, you said a loading dock, but where? What city was it?
I live in, I'm not going to say exactly, but I live near Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in the heart of the Amish country.
Okay.
So I worked a second shift job. I used to drive a tow motor, and I'm not going to lie, we used to go out at the break and do stuff that you wouldn't get away with today now, you know what I mean? So
I know what you mean, I think.
Those were the good old days. And dude, just all the killer metal back then, Grim Reaper and Priest and Maiden and the obscure stuff that, nobody heard about, this dude had. And you were one of those bands.
That's funny. I think everybody has somebody like that. I had one of the guys who, he was a buddy of mine in elementary school. And he told me one day, he goes, dude, I'm moving. And I was like, moving? Oh, man, what a drag. And he goes, I'm moving right next door to you.
No way.
What? And literally moved right next door. And he was his name was David Avila. This is in our little town in East LA called El Sereno, where we grew up in Los Angeles. And Joey and Gonzo and Phil and myself, we lived about a quarter mile from each other, like 2 blocks away.
Wow.
And David was also there. And he was the guy who got me in my first band, because he was one of those people that actually had a lot of ambition about finding new music and discovering things. And he did, whether it was Queen and Thin Lizzy and, you name it. So it was really cool. He was one of those people that was like that. He kind of inspired me and all of us into a lot of different music, and it's good to have somebody like that. It's awesome.
Yeah. And unironically, one of the other landmark albums that I still, even though this is my favorite and the Symbol's probably my second favorite, you love where you come in on, and that was March was the first album I came in on. But it's ironical because I just saw you guys back in May in Philly with Queensryche.
Oh, awesome.
And the last time I saw you was with Queensryche. And what album came out in 1984? The Warning.
Oh, yeah.
Which
is a great album.
Still my favorite album by Queensryche.
Yeah, and they just played it all in its entirety, which was really awesome.
Yeah,
So
it's killer. After the show, I'm that guy that will come around to the side and sort of see if anybody's out. I saw Jeff. You guys hightailed. I think you were sick or getting sick because you guys had a show in Mechanicsburg planned, a
yeah,
solo show, and you had to bail on it. I was super fucking bummed. I was like, man, I wanted to see the full Saint show, but there'll be another time, hopefully.
yeah, I'm really bummed about that too. I was actually very excited about playing there. We always have good shows in like that Harrisburg area, Allentown.
Yeah.
You know, I guess is that Central PA? It feels like it,
Right.
And I was really, I mean, because it was like Mechanicsburg. I had never been there of all the places I've been, and I was like cracking up at the name of the city, and I was really excited. And that show actually had some great advanced ticket sales, and I was extremely disappointed to cancel that. And you know, nobody's more bummed and pissed than me. But
Shit happens. Your health. Your health is more important.
Another time, and you know, sorry about
No
that.
problem, dude. Hey, let's get into why you're here. You're here to talk about a new band, a very new band called Category 7. And you guys have a self-titled debut coming out on Metal Blade on July 26th. And this is a super group. I don't know if you hate that term or not. I know it's like, I know most artists are like, fuck, not that title. But it kind of is, because let's be honest, every one of the dudes in this band is in another high-profile band. So tell me about how this all came together. Tell us about, I'm going to pull a picture up while you get into your explanation, and we'll show who's in the band for those that may not know. And let's see, I think this is it. There we go. There we are.
Oh,
look at those handsome-looking fellas right there. Huh?
You know, I only don't like the supergroup term because actually I feel like it adds kind of pressure, and it almost sounds a little arrogant. It's certainly not our terminology,
right?
That we'd call it that. I do think it's a bunch of guys who are veterans who's played in various bands through the years and have a lot of experience and are real talented. You know, kind of started really in a simple way. You know, Phil and Mike and Jason, they kind of had gotten together to there were like some rehearsal hall, I think is the first story, and they were just shooting the breeze about doing something together, not playing together at that place. And then they took it a step further, and Phil and Mike started working on stuff. And Phil and I had played and have played with the Metal Legions project periodically. And so we got to know each other through that. And he asked me, would you be interested in this? And I said, I you know, send it to me. You know, that's the final, you know, part of the story, to see whether or not it's right for me, right for you guys. Can I do something with it? Can I make it good? And do I love it? You know, I did. I thought it was really, really powerful stuff, really heavy, a lot of awesome riff mania, but yet still songs, song structure. So I said, let me start writing to it and see what I can come up with and see if you guys like it. And we did. We wrote a couple of songs, and everyone seemed to be on board and thinking it sounded pretty awesome. And so let's write a couple more. And the next thing we knew, we had enough for a record. So instead of just playing it for friends when you're drunk at home and saying, hey, let me play this for you, nobody's heard this, which I've done, you know, it was like, let's put it out and, you know, let the world hear it. And then that's where we're at.
Well, so the driving force was Jason and Mike?
For the most part, yeah, I think so. I mean, Mike is somebody that I just got to know, you know, I had never even met him, actually, which is funny. It was all brand new. That's how we got to know one another, through just kind of writing songs and taking it from there. And he's a super talented guy. I mean, and Mike is just a really nice guy. He's like a really cool dude. And like I said, I got to know him by creating these songs. Kind of nice and really kind of fun, and how music really should be, you know, as I'm concerned. So it was cool that's kind of how it all developed. And you know, the songwriting, like I said, is something that I'm proud of, because it's heavy and it's powerful, but yet it's melodic at the same time. And Sounds new and fresh, but kind of old school at the same time. So kind of has all those different elements going for it.
Yeah, I've had an advance for a little while. I don't have a physical because it's not out yet. But a couple things struck me. One is it's not really easily classifiable because it's kind of like Armored Saint. You guys were never hair metal. You guys were never prog metal. You were never power metal. You were just heavy metal. And this sounds like a heavy metal album. It's just got riffs for days, especially that last song, man. That's the instrumental. So
it's awesome.
That's Mike and Phil's wank fest there at the end. But,
pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I do have one question about Mike though. Since you don't know him that well, though, I'm curious if you do know this. Does he ever wear sleeved shirts ever?
Well, I didn't go like check his closet and his wardrobe and said, dude, do you have? I don't know, but maybe he's showing out those guns. The cool story about Mike is his father at one point was Mr. Universe, so he has some DNA in him that makes him very buff. So
no way.
It's pretty cool.
That's wild. That is super cool, man.
I know, it's funny. And he has a really amazing home studio. I went to, I did a lot of demos here in Los Angeles, but eventually I went to Staten Island where he lives, and that's where we kind of finalized a lot of the vocals and recorded some other stuff and harmonies and doubles and things like that. And that's when we got to really know one another. And he has this killer, amazing home studio in the house where his parents live, which is really cool. And you go down there and you're like, it's like being an Electric Lady or something. It's a phenomenal studio. So he's just a really cool dude. It's I knew everybody a little bit other than that, but Mike, I didn't know at all. And just to kind of get to know one another through the music, I thought was really cool.
Well, so we should say that the group consists of Phil Demmel on guitars, Mike Orlando on guitars, you on vocals. We got Jason Bitner on drums and Jack Gibson on bass. Was the group already kind of formed before you came in as far as the other pieces, or was there any collaborative decisions about, hey, who do we call up for bass, or was that not you weren't involved in that?
I think it was already, everybody was kind of in place. I think Jack might have been the guy before me because the other three guys that kind of started it, if you will. Right. But I think Jack was in there before me, and then I guess I was the final piece of the puzzle. So,
so I guess were these songs were they all created before you got involved predominantly, or you did say that you did write some more songs? So were you involved in that process, or was this mainly a look? Mike and Phil came up with all the riffs, and then everybody else just flew their parts in. And you did say you went to a studio, but you did a lot of it at home, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think they had written a lot of the songs. As a matter of fact, I hear Mike has a bunch of stuff for another record. I think, I don't think these guys ever have a shortage of ideas. I think they always have some. And but for me, it was like, send me a couple songs. Don't send me 8 songs. That's just overload. Send me a couple songs, and then we'll work on those. I'll work on those, and then we'll take it a step further and work on the next, record them, and then go to the next 3 or so. And that's how I did it. Like I said, I think they probably have plenty of ideas, but these are the ones that we worked on. And they ended up being the 10 that we put out there. I did it in a way, I've been telling people, it's kind of funny because I have this other project, which is weird. I have a couple things going on now. But it's not metal. It's called Electric Spaghetti, and it's this blues, country, rock and roll thing that I did with a friend of mine who's a guitar player in that band and also engineered the demos for this. His name's Tara Novik, great guitar player, kind of comes from the rockabilly world, so it's very different, and the Electric Spaghetti thing is very different. But the cool thing is that he would record me because he has a home studio, Pro Tools and stuff, and I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm a complete moron when it comes to anything technical, and I didn't want to.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. I'm that guy too. You can see back here, I got guitars everywhere. I got gear everywhere. I don't know how to use any of it. I can play, but I don't know how to record for shit. So it's
So
by the way, real quick.
Sorry,
this is the album cover right here, and all the information that you need to pre-order, order the album is in the description. So sorry about that. I just wanted.
So I was just going to say that I asked him, can you record? So one day I'd go to his house and he'd record a Category 7 song with me, which was really cool because he's not from the metal world. So he was just blown away with what he was hearing. And he was the first person to hear what I was doing with it. Cause I
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I would be at his house creating. And then a couple of days later, I'd go to his house and we would do an Electric Spaghetti song. And so over the course of like these 9 months or so, I wrote with him and worked with him on like 20 songs, and it was really cool. And they were very different, and it was kind of just really improving my abilities as a writer, I think, and a singer. And so it was really fun to do that. And then, you know, a lot of those demos that I recorded at his house in his apartment, we kept most of that stuff. And then when I went to Mike's, we kind of just added to it. And, you know, maybe if something was out of key or I could sing it better, of course I would. But a lot of those are really the first demos we made, we kept them. So,
well, okay. So curious question here. And you get these demos from Mike or Phil or whoever, and they're flying their parts in. And as a vocalist, you're trying to fit yourself in. How's that work as far as, because usually when I sit and write, I start doing a chord progression and then I get a melody in my head. But when you've already got a predetermined sort of flow, is it easier or harder to fit yourself into something that's already semi pre-existing, or did Mike give you some guide stuff like la 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 la, that kind of stuff? You know what I mean? Like, did he give you any like guideposts, or did you just fly all those verse melodies and chorus melodies? How'd that work for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I would do is I would actually get it and then I would listen to it and you know, I do it with a lot of things that I've done through the years with Saint, and even sometime in my days in Anthrax and the early days of Armored Saint way back, kind of the same way. I would like just hum things and go, okay, this sounds like a cool melody that goes with that kind of musical part. And then once I did that, I have this. Okay, I'm not actually not too many people have seen this, Jeff. So I'm going to show you.
Yes,
it's actually
an exclusive.
My most recent. This thing is just beat up, but it's really just all my notes actually. And
okay, yeah.
A lot of you, if you can see right here, a lot of stuff has been.
Let me blow you up.
A lot of stuff has been crossed out because I've used them.
So, okay.
Same with this page and that page. And I actually need to start writing some more stuff because bear with me here. It's kind of funny. Like I have some stuff on that and I need to add some things to it because
song titles, and that's your like sketchbook, your workbook.
In a way, yeah. So I've used, it could be a word, it could be a lyric, it could be a line. As you can see, I've used a lot of these things, which is really a good thing. But I have to come up with some new stuff now for an Armored Saint eventual record that we want to make. And that's what I do. So then I would look at a lyric and I would go, oh, that kind of sounds like it would work with this. And then that would kind of get the ball rolling. So, that's kind of my approach. It has been for years. Now you can use your phone in terms of like recording a melody idea.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's a primitive way for me to do it because I tried working with GarageBand and I just sucked. But so that's kind of how it would work. And then I would start writing. And sometimes when it comes to themes, like sometimes I have a big theme. Sometimes it's no theme at all. And sometimes I just start writing words and go, oh, that kind of seems like it's taking this direction. And then I'll roll with it. So there's kind of this unlimited as to, I think, what I can do or what I want to do. It's just about what kind of is inspiring me. And sometimes it's one word or a title or, nothing at all, no theme. And I mean, again, to me, it's, I don't want to sound like the pompous artist because I can't stand those people, but you're making art, so there really is no real kind of rules to whatever you want.
Great segue. I couldn't have timed that or done any better with that, because the reason I say that is, well, no, you just perfectly segued into where I wanted to go, which was there's 3 videos that have been released right now. We got In Stiches.
Right.
We've got Mousetrap, which is the most recent. I believe In Stiches was the first.
Yeah.
And the second was Exhausted. And man, I have to admit, as an old dude now, I don't focus on lyrics like I used to, like Neil Peart, or I was all into that as a teenager. I
As you
don't
should.
I don't focus as much, but that song grabbed me hard right here because it let me read what I wrote because I won't remember it exactly, but um the reason did these videos, and I wanted to ask like a two-parter. The first part is, what's your feeling on videos now? Because we're long past the MTV age where it was like the way to catapult you to the next level. Now there's massive amounts of information out there. The post internet world is just a barrage of shit coming at you. Okay.
Right.
Good shit, bad shit, terrible shit, lots of those latter two. And the song Exhausted was like, holy fuck, that is exactly. Am I right that that's what you were writing that about, essentially? Not the
Well,
videos, but just the
believe
concept.
yeah, what inspired me probably was just a couple of nights, a couple of sleepless nights. Probably I don't have like full insomnia, so I don't want to imply that because I know a lot of people actually do struggle really with that. But I probably had maybe I drank too much coffee and just was moving around and feeling insecure that I was waking my wife, and I think that's what triggered the basic idea of just kind of like some insomnia and struggling with that, and then hence being exhausted. I liked the word. I thought it sounded cool. Then we came up with the vocal idea for the lyrics on the chorus, and the chorus is huge in that song. And so I was like, okay, this is it, and that's it. So, but I kind of used some. I even asked a couple friends. I was like, okay, I'm trying to get this 7-syllable word. Give me one. And like I sent a text to a couple people, buddies, and then they wrote some stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that." And so I used it. And one of them was extraterrestrial, and then I kind of got into the idea of like asking anyone's help to try to get to sleep. Maybe an alien. Just kind of rolling with that, and that's kind of how that song went. It's really cool.
So it was more related to just struggles falling asleep versus just the inundation of the modern world that we are in now, because it just felt like that reading to me. And you know how it is. Lyrics are very subjective. So it's like you may have an idea of what you wrote it about, but what the listener has may be completely different. And I really read into that, like, man, just the constant barrage of the attack I feel we're under sometimes.
Well, and that's sometimes why I don't actually like explaining lyrics, because sometimes my lyrics can be kind of vague. Because, I don't know, sometimes they are. So I kind of, which leads to being them open up for interpretation of the listener. And so that is good enough for me. Like when somebody says something like you just did, I get this from it. I'm like, great.
Okay.
It's certainly never going to be that is incorrect, Jeff. The real meaning is, no, I mean, that's awesome, and that's why, like I said, almost sometimes I'm reluctant to tell people what at least inspired me, because it could mean something else for somebody else. And that's really cool to me. So I like that.
Yeah, I, like you, often, I don't have full-blown insomnia either, but I have pretty bad sleep issues sometimes, and a lot of it's just I have some health issues getting older. That's just kind of how it goes. But I'm with you, sir. I get it. Like there does feel like a lot of times I'm exhausted, and I'm like, I just slept 7. Well, yeah, exactly. The constant strolling.
Yeah, you probably want to put this down a couple hours before you get to bed and just kind of chill. Maybe read. Reading a book, will probably help you with, getting ready for sleep. Not that I have any answers here. Just saying that to me, it seems like, it can be detrimental for sure.
So the album comes out on Metal Blade. You have a long and storied history with that label. I believe your bandmate Joey, his wife, actually works there, right? I mean, she's been
the president of the label.
President, yeah, right. So you guys have a great relationship with them, with Brian and the whole crew there, and they've done very well by you. Was there any thought to go anywhere else? Was it a predetermined, conclusion that that's where this album was going to go, no matter what?
Good question and very valid question. For me, in the end, no, because Metal Blade is Brian and Tracy. They're a family to me, and
Mhm.
as well as the rest of the staff there, even the European staff as well. So there's a connection there and a comfort and a security of being with Metal Blade, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be. Quite honestly. Brian is, he's done so much for Armored Saint's career. And even when we weren't even on the label, when we left the label back in
Mhm.
1984 and we were on Chrysalis Records, he was still an enormous supporter of the band. And then when we got dropped and he was like, come
Come
back
home.
on.
Come
And
home.
and then we did with Symbol of Salvation, which is arguably one of our most important records. So
Sure.
I'm glad that it ended up there. And then we've never looked back. So the only thing is, I mean, could it be a slight conflict of interest? The label has Saint, the label has Category 7.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for a minute I thought about that, but I mean, I'm so proud to be part of the family. I don't really want to establish new or have any desire to establish any new relationships with any other labels. And as we all know, labels can be, I mean, from my experience, other than Metal Blade, it sometimes hasn't been the best experience.
Right.
That's including my years in Anthrax, and the time with Chrysalis wasn't the greatest for Armored Saint. So Metal Blade has been the most solid label in my life. So to me, that's the place to be.
And we should mention, you said Brian's done so much for Saint. Brian's done a hell of a lot for metal in general, just in general. Without Brian, guys like Brian and Johnny Z and stuff like that, there would be so many killer bands out there that never would have achieved. I mean, maybe the biggest band in the world right now, would they be where they're at without Megaforce? Probably not.
Well, I mean, Metallica did put out "Hit the Lights" on the first Metal Massacre, which was one of the
Right.
cycles. So that's the bottom line. So
Slayer too. Slayer too.
it was with Metal Blade as well, and so many bands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's a legend. He's awesome. He's the same dude he was back in 1983.
Yeah.
He really loves the music. That's his primary objective, and he's built this cool empire, and it's really awesome. And I'm stoked for him. And Tracy is run with the label and works her butt off every night and every day. And we were just with Joey and Tracy last night, me and my wife Tori, and hung out with them. And we're going out again tonight with them. I better get my liver ready because it took a beating last night.
Oh yeah.
We have plans again, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. We have this incredible friendship as well as relationship. And I'm going to Vegas because my son plays hockey, and he has a tournament in Vegas this weekend. So I'm hoping actually to get Brian to maybe come to one of his games.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. He's in Vegas. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Quick story about Joey. Met him on one of the Fates Warning tours. Just the nicest guy. And I had one of those silver Sharpies, and I just bought him, right? And he was trying to sign my copy of the album, and it wouldn't write. So me, and with all my brilliance here, you talk about the tech issue with you and me. This is me being Captain Stupid here. I take the pen out and I start shaking it. Didn't put the lid on it. Start shaking it. Okay. And Joey also does not have any hair. The next thing I just see this big streak. Joey goes, big streak of silver Sharpie across his head. I'm like, oh, fuck me,
Oh,
man.
I have to bring that up to him. That's pretty funny.
Tell him. I think I think he might remember. It was at one of those early sort of meet and greet things.
I don't see how he would not remember that.
I was wearing a Catatonia. I was wearing a Catatonia shirt. Remind him of that. He and I've run into each other a couple times. Such a great dude. I want to wrap up here because I got to get you out of here. Couple quickies. The first one being, what are the potential possibilities of Category 7 going out and playing these songs? Because these songs, I think, have an energy to them that live would be kick fucking ass. They just would be like in your face, beating you up. And what's the realistic possibilities? Because all you guys are in pretty huge bands that go out a lot. So,
well, I mean, of course, we want to play it live. Like I agree with you 100%. I want to hear them live. We haven't even had a rehearsal.
Okay.
So yeah, I would be very eager to hear how this stuff sounds live, and I'm sure it'd be very heavy. So yes, of course we want to play. It's about navigating with everybody's schedule and finding the right thing to do. It doesn't have to be, opening stadiums or nothing. But at the same time, what I've been saying to people is everyone's kind of worked on a certain level, traveled
Right.
at a certain level. I don't know. Like I made the joke. I don't know if I'm ready to get in the van and go like play 10 shows in a row in front of 50 people.
Right. Yeah.
Probably won't. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think it just has to feel right. It has to be the right thing, and the vibes are building with the videos and now the record coming out and so I'm not too worried about it. Our manager Larry, he might be a little bit more a little bit more stressed about what's happening in the future, but he knew this going in that it might be a tough
Complicated, complicated.
So
Yeah.
we'll make it work.
All right, man. Last thing on Saint, you kind of alluded to it. Are you guys working on an album? Where are we at with that? Because you just got off the tour with Queensryche a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And do you have any more touring plans for this year yet and into 25?
Yeah, we're going to Europe next week. So we'll be there for a little under 4 weeks doing some headlining shows as well as a bunch of festivals, playing Wacken, which will be awesome, Alcatraz Music Festival in Belgium, Brutal Sultan in the Czech Republic. So we're really pumped up about that. We haven't been to Europe since 2019, so it's been a long time prior to COVID happening. So we're fired up. We love Europe. And so it's kind of hard to write when you're touring and playing. At least for me, I'm just not productive that way at all. Like I was telling somebody before, I don't even want to listen to music. I mean, like I have my iPod, yes, old. And, like on days off, I work out in the gym or the hotel and like, I couldn't even listen to music. I was like, I just want silence or something. But it's all about the quality of the music. Saint, we don't go quick, but when the records come out, they're great. And so we're striving to get something out in 2025, and I think it will be accomplished. We have to kind of get going. We have some songs written and they sound great, but we probably should try to move a little faster.
Yep. I mean, that's always the sort of thing. But I mean, in my opinion, you've got a lot to live up to because I think Punch the Sky was the best album you guys have done since. This is just my opinion, of course, but I think it's the best album you guys have done since probably Symbol. I like all that other material in there, but I think that album, and sadly, that came out right in the heart of the pandemic, so you didn't really get to do much with it. And I feel like maybe it might have slightly been overlooked overall, but I think that's a killer album. What was your feeling on that one?
I agree completely. I mean, I love Punching the Sky. I think it's an awesome record. It's super powerful and it's got great vibes about it. And so, I mean, I feel the same way about When Hands Down in all honesty. So, I mean, it's cool to like still be making music this much later in our career that really I think stands as the test of time and is anything we've ever done. And I'm real proud of that. So, we just keep on trucking. And, I think that, with Saint, I think, we have some work to do as far as performing. We did the tour with Wasp a couple years back now. Awesome.
I missed that one.
And that was actually kind of the first time we went out for Punching the Sky. So, and then we did some dates with Queensryche recently, same kind of thing. So we really haven't properly toured for that record, but we're making up for some lost time, and we're going to Europe for the first time, and we're getting to play a bunch of those songs from that record because again, we haven't played Europe on that album. So, but I agree with you. I think it's an amazing album. Real proud of it.
Two very last things. The first is just a mention of La Raza and Revelation are coming out and being reissued on August 16th on Metal Blade. You got Digipax, and I think, or is it just vinyl? Is it Digipax too?
No, I think Digipax as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's and all those links are in the description, guys. Last question here. Did you ever think and I think you got a birthday coming up next month. So did you ever think that in your 60s you'd still be doing this?
No. Certainly when I was like 22, 23 during, the early stages of Saint, I'm sure I would look at a 60-year-old guy and go, that guy's old, dude.
Exactly.
Come on. So, You know, it's the fact. But you know what? I do think that one of the ambitions that I say this a lot, uh, is to really have longevity, because that's the one thing that I think is one of the coolest aspects of being in a band is being able to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
You can't ever guarantee the level of success, fame, popularity, how people are going to react to what you do. It's just a lot. Most of it is out of your hands. You can make the greatest record in the world, and many have, that nobody have heard of, that nobody has ever even listened to.
Yeah.
I know a lot of those records. Or you could have stuff that I personally think is crap. That's the biggest thing ever. So there's no fair, safe guarantees in this business. But what you can do is guarantee the things that you do have quality, and that's
Staying
the
power.
control.
Staying power. Yeah.
And look, I just went to see the Stones like a week ago.
Did you?
Yeah, and Mick Jagger, who is going to be 81.
81. That's right.
He's going to be 81. I think on the day the record
Insane.
comes out. That dude was everywhere.
Insane.
It's,
Insane.
I mean, he truly is an alien, because I was like going, look at this. Like, I don't even know what to say.
And you're a very fit guy too, but
I'm
that
not
dude
bad.
at 81, man, he's an anomaly.
It's really insane. And,
Yeah.
and I know what it's like to sing and move, because you're singing and moving and you're using
Very physical job.
I mean, and this was at the SoFi Stadium, man. This was not, some club that held 200 people.
Huge.
It's, and he was all over the place. And I just sat there, jaw dropped.
Yeah.
And the Stones, I mean, they are the kings, they really are.
Yep.
And so, I don't know. So to me, it's like nobody could say I feel old. Nobody. And Dickinson's like that to some degree too. He, his energy is just off the charts. And
Yeah.
So if those guys can do it, I mean, and Halford doesn't move as much, but his voice sounds amazing still.
Yeah.
It's like if these guys can do it, and I know they're older than I am.
You got no excuse.
No excuse. Exactly.
Well, the last thing to add about you said about Saint, about longevity and staying power. You guys have done it, with the exception, obvious, of losing Dave way back when. I don't remember when he passed. 96,
91.
91. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, excuse me. 90.
90. Right. You've been the same band. I mean, you guys have maintained a core, which many bands these days cannot say. They just can't. And that's, totally. And to me, that's a testament to how good you guys are and how vital you still are.
Yeah, and I always champion that, because I think it's really important. It's Duncan is like the new guy, and he joined in '88.
Yeah,
like I bust his balls about that all the time, but we laugh. The reality is that it's the same guys. It's the same 5 dudes, and if Dave was here, it would be 6 guys. And and that's the beauty of it. So everybody kind of has this investment in Saint. They have this connection to Saint. So even if they didn't play on the record, they played on these songs so many times. And it pisses me off when somebody brings like a Delirious Nomad record and then they won't have like Jeff sign it. It's like, what? Dude, he's played on that song.
Yeah.
Thousands of times. So let him sign the record. What's wrong with you? So anyways.
Jeff also played on one of my favorite videos of all time, the Odin track. I forget the fucking name of it. What's that song called? Something Love.
Shining Love.
That's it. Yeah. And that song, that band was hilarious. I mean, and I know they weren't trying to be, but I love going back and checking that out. We did a deep dive on Odin and all kinds of like LA bands that nobody, like Omen and stuff like that. And we played that video, John, and it literally shut. This is the craziest shit. It shut my live stream down because there was somebody had a copyright attached to it. I'm like, wait, somebody has a copyright on that song? Are you serious?
That's funny. That's hilarious.
So, all right, man. Hey, I want to get you out of here. I've gone way too long. I'm going to get yelled at. Bro, it was so cool meeting you.
Yeah. Great
Thanks so much for this. I'm going to look for you the next time. Not in a weird way, just to buy you a beer or something like that. When you guys get out this way, I'm not that dude. But such an honor, man. Thank you so much for doing this. And much luck. Much luck on Category 7 and all that stuff, man. I'm stoked for you.
Thank you for all the support and all the love. We really appreciate it, man. Thanks for
all right, man. Take care, John.
All right, brother.
Be well, bro.
Bye.
See ya.